Hello Blazers, it is your boy Roman, your favorite neighborhood Russian. How guys doing today? Welcome to a brand new video. And in today's video guys, I guess I'm celebrating because today is a very special anniversary for me. Exactly 6 months ago, on the 16th of March, I left Russia and came here to the country of Georgia. And as I'm recording this video right now, it's actually the 16th of September, so it's been exactly half a year, and I decided that this video would be a good one to do a little update on what it's like, you know, having lived outside of Russia for half a year at this point, especially in this time. Just discuss my overall feelings right now about Russia, hopes, worries, everything, all the juicy bits. So yeah, let's get into it. First of all, I want to just discuss how I'm feeling overall, and I would say very conflicted, because at one point I do feel like I'm in a pretty decent position. Like I kind of settled here in Georgia, you know. I moved pretty much my entire life. All of my possessions, be it like, you know, clothing or like tech, my entire setup, everything. My entire life is here at this point. There's like barely anything that ties me to Russia, except my passport, of course, which is an issue. We'll get to it. And obviously ties to the people, you know, missing my family, my friends, everything. That obviously goes without saying. That's pretty normal for anybody who leaves their home country. But yeah, overall, honestly, I am enjoying my time in Georgia. I really fell in love with Tbilisi, the capital of Georgia. It's a great city. If you're looking for an interesting city, an interesting country to visit, Tbilisi, Georgia, you will love it. It's like an Eastern European young Berlin, so basically Wakanda. But yeah, no, seriously, I know my way around the city and the places to go to very well now. I made a lot of actually really good friends. But yeah, of course, living here as a Russian citizen, it's not just all fun and games for me, and I don't really feel like it's very safe for me to come back to Russia at the moment, honestly. But before we get to the reasons why, I would just like to very quickly plug my mixtape. Yes, I have a second channel called Roman Abalin, that's my name, and just recently I dropped a whole mixtape on my second channel with all music produced by myself, and the subject matter of the mixtape has to do a lot with what I'm going through right now, basically. I called it Dissident Tapes Volume 1. I know, very edgy.
Do you know what it's like to lose your home? I got nowhere to turn. The people looking at me weird like I don't belong. I got nowhere to turn. My back to the wall, I'm running out of options like a rolling stone. Hey, my back to the wall, I got nowhere to go. I got nowhere to turn. Nowhere to go. Nowhere to go. Nowhere to go.
Also, as guests on the mixtape, I have Sarah Benito from Cara Cara Benito. If you know, you know. She's done some sound bites and producer tags on my mixtape. Anthony Fantano did one as well. So yeah, I love making music. I worked a lot on it, and if you would check it out and give me your feedback, I'd love it. So now going back on topic, yeah, I really don't feel like it's honestly a very good idea for me to go back to Russia right now. Especially, honestly, after the recent thing that happened to Bottom Bankrupts, and I don't think I'm revealing any new information with this. People have been asking me to comment on this, but long story short, Bottom Bankrupt came back to Russia recently to record like a final ending to his Russian railway series or whatever, and he was arrested by Russian police in regards to something like related to his visa. But apparently the police ended up going through his channel and saw that he said something bad about Putin, and Bold actually got trialed, and he was considered guilty of discrediting the military forces of the Russian Federation and their usage on the during the special military operation. It's like a new law that's been passed in Russia in the last half a year that basically is there to suppress people's free speech regarding all the events in Ukraine right now. So the fact that they would do that to a foreign citizen and also fine him for video in English makes me kind of like feel like, yeah, I don't think I will, you know, I don't think I will really go there. So, and yeah, overall I just can't really imagine being there right now with the state of affairs, you know. One of my Russian friends who moved to Georgia as well recently visited Russia for a couple of weeks, and she sent me pictures of every single like Z propaganda and stuff she's seen on the streets, and it's absolutely wild. I mean, I think I already talked about this on this channel, how when I lived in St. Petersburg still, and when everything started, the whole special military operation, and you would have like the Z on one of the main squares of St. Petersburg on like a billboard. It was right by where I lived. I literally felt like my city is being occupied, you know what I mean? It was not a fun time. So, and also obviously all the sanctions and everything make it literally impossible for me to make money in Russia. And to be completely honest, like I do miss it still, you know, because it's my home country, it's a place that I grew up in, and I genuinely still love St. Petersburg. I think it's an incredible city, and I would love to maybe be able to live there one day in the future. You know, fingers crossed, but right now, no, I just don't see a place for myself there, unfortunately. Especially with all this propaganda you see see on the streets and everything. It's too much. Now, why is Russian propaganda, or just propaganda in general, this effective? Well, a lot of the times it comes down to the way facts and news are presented. Well, if you guys do not want to be manipulated and you actually want to have a decent grasp on the facts, I would like to recommend to you and tell you about the sponsor of today's video, Ground News. Ground News is basically a news aggregator on ultra settings. It's a news comparison platform that not only gives you the breaking news as they happen, but also shows you all of the news sources for a particular topic and also gives you the political leanings of every single source. And this is actually super important in our modern world because, for example, reading the news about the Russian-Ukrainian conflicts can be very confusing and very misleading because different outlets twist the exact same facts and events and show them in a completely different light. And we're basically at a point where knowing where the news come from is actually as important as the news themselves. For example, this article here about Russia saying that there's no need to use nuclear weapons in Ukraine. As you can see, Ground News shows me that there's a total of 19 news sources which I can go and individually check out and click on and look at it on the outlet's website that covered this topic. The biased distribution shows me that 57% of the outlets that actually covered this topic lean right. So this is actually a blind spot for the media on the left. I guess because right-wing media pays more attention to what Russian officials have to say. I can check out every single news source and see their political leanings. For example, here once again we have our favorite Russia Today. Ground News shows me that Russia Today leans right, of course, has a low factuality, of course, and it is controlled by the government of Russia. I personally enjoy Ground News a lot and I find it to be a very refreshing way to consume information and news. Ground News is both available as a website and as an app for iOS and Android. So if you want to read news better, then go over to the link down in the description, which is ground.news/nfkrz. Try Ground News for free and maybe, if you like it, subscribe and support the Ground News team. Because I think what they're doing is actually very interesting and it's very important as far as making the news more transparent. Thanks to Ground News once again for sponsoring this video and let's get back into it. So yeah, I've been having a decently sustainable life here in Georgia and it's really good if you look at it just the way it is now. You know, I'm making videos, my videos are doing good and you know, thanks a lot to you guys for supporting me in this time. But nevertheless, I obviously have a lot of anxieties and worries and if you look at my life and where I am, from a long-term standpoint, I don't think it looks that jolly and I don't think it looks that fun. Let's just start off with the fact that I don't really feel like my position which I'm currently in, I feel like that position I'm in is very feeble, honestly, and it wouldn't take a lot for me to not be able to continue living the life I'm living right now, you know what I mean? The reason is basically quite simple, is because Georgia is obviously a country that's not friends with Russia. Russia has invaded Georgia in 2008, which was awful, and the majority of the people here obviously have negative feelings towards the Russian government, which is totally fine and understandable. The thing is though that a lot of oppositional parties in Georgia, for example, currently they're calling for implementing visas for Russian citizens, and what can I even say about this? I mean, this is a policy that will obviously negatively affect me, but Russia is Georgia's neighbor. Georgians are very anxious about the increasing amount of Russians here. Rent has been going up because of the amount of people who came here, so I'm not gonna judge or talk shit about those people. I get where they're coming from, but yeah, not very good news for me personally. There's been cases where people who actually have been living in Georgia for a while, who have an apartment here, for example, who have a business open here and stuff like that, and they went to like Turkey for a week or something, and then they come back to Georgia and the border guards don't let them in. I'm just trying to sit it out, honestly, because I'm too anxious about traveling right now, because I'm too anxious about like something like this happening to me, you know, so I'm just trying to sit it out and see what's going on. But yeah, that definitely worries me quite a bit. Another thing that I would say that worries me is just the overall atmosphere in Europe right now, I would say, you know, because for the past months, every single day I get comments and DMs from people saying, Roman, come to Germany, Roman, come to Sweden, whatever, come to Italy, we're waiting for you, bro, we got you. Well, here's the thing, you guys, my subscribers, you got me, yeah, I get it, but your governments, no, they don't got me at all. You know, this whole talk right now with Russians and Europe like banning visas and travel visas for Russians, some countries have actually already done it, for example, Poland and Baltic countries, and again, I think it's well within the rights of those countries to do it. It's their policy, it's their country, it's their border, they can enforce whatever rules they want to, but I just can't help feeling kind of iffy when I read statements such as traveling to Europe is a privilege and not a human right from several European leaders. You might disagree with me on this, but I just think that's a bit of a problematic statement in my opinion, and the European Union actually did end up stopping one of the agreements with Russia regarding visas. Now Russians will not be able to apply to visas by like a simplified process. Apparently before, when Russians had to apply for visas, it was like a simplified process, which already wasn't that simple, but apparently now it's gonna get even worse, so cool. But at least they didn't take away our rights to apply for European visas in general, because trust me, I would be pissed about that. But yeah, with just this overall atmosphere in Europe right now, when everybody's talking about how it would be based if we just, you know, stopped letting Russian citizens into Europe or in the West in general, and when, you know, the Ukrainian president says so, I just get the feeling like, you know, not only does Europe not care or want me, you know, but I honestly low-key get the feeling that I will not be seeing Europe for many, many years. I mean, realistically, currently in my situation, right, I live here in Georgia, but the thing is that I'm not a citizen of Georgia, I don't have residency here, so I actually cannot apply for European visas here in Georgia. I would have to go back to Russia to apply for European visas, and obviously I do not want to do that. So one thing that is worth me trying to do is actually getting residency here in Georgia so I can do that. But there's also a lot of reports, a lot of people saying that a lot of the applications for residency here get rejected now because a lot of people apply and everything. So yeah, not sure how that will go for me, but in general, I would say, yeah, when this whole thing started and when I was looking at just the general thoughts of the people online and what, you know, some governmental leaders in Europe were saying, it kind of felt like some European countries are trying to do a thing where they would be like, hey, if you're a Russian citizen, if you're educated, or you have some sort of like business or income or something, and if you don't feel safe coming back to Russia, like we take you in or something like that. And I thought, yeah, it would be cool if some European country did that, but yeah, I don't think that's ever happening now, and which is like fair, I guess, you know. I don't expect life to be that easy and for European countries to be just like, yeah, come live. But yeah, overall, I just feel kind of hopeless about it right now. Like, I don't really see any comprehensible plan for me to move to another country or acquire residency or acquire citizenship in some other country and have the ability to really travel the world and everything, because that's really like my main goal, honestly. As a person who has a Russian passport, especially in the current situation, I feel very trapped in my ability to travel, and you guys cannot even imagine how jealous I am when I'm just looking at like some influencers that are similar size to me or something who are traveling all over Europe and visiting all these cool ass cities and everything, and I'm just like, man, I wish that were me, you know. But unfortunately, I was born with a terrible birthmark called the Russian passport, which was not letting me into any of these countries. And the thing is, I'm making money, so I could afford to travel like this, but I just feel like my entire life is like wasted potential because I can't go anywhere for shit. And yeah, it's a terrible feeling that kills your soul, what can I say? So yeah, again, to put it short, I feel like my life right now is pretty comfortable, it's pretty good, but on a long-term perspective of where I'm going, where I'm gonna live next year, I've got no fucking clue. I don't know what I'm gonna do, and it's not looking good, honestly. Like, that's all I can say, man. I just hope I'll be alive next year, honestly. Like, you guys might think I'm being edgy by saying this, but I'm really not. Like, it's actually how I feel. Because the path I'm on right now, it's like, the stakes are very high, honestly. And yeah, that's just the way it is. Now, in regards to my life for 6 months outside of Russia as well, at this point, honestly, I've gotten very used to living here to the point where I obviously all the time check the news on what's going on in Ukraine, but quite honestly, I do feel like my understanding of what constitutes the news that interests me has switched. So in a sense that I follow Russian news way less now, and I follow the news of like the Caucasus region and stuff and what is going on here in Georgia, and honestly do feel like I'm growing to be a little bit out of touch with Russia, which is not that good for my channel, I guess, or for my sanity, but it is what it is. It just happens inadvertently when you live in a different country. But the thing is that obviously, even though I'm falling out of touch a bit with it, I'm still a citizen of Russia, so the law of Russia still applies to me. And this is precisely why you see these bizarre things in my videos that you will never see on any other channels. How when I mention Instagram, for example, I have to point out that Meta and Instagram is an extremist organization in Russia because Instagram is now banned in Russia. And you're like technically breaking the law if you don't notify it it's an extremist organization that's banned in Russia. It's also like that, for example, when I mention any sort of personality that's considered a foreign agent in Russia. If they are considered as one, then I have to mention it in my videos that they're a foreign agent. But I guess most of my subscribers just find that amusing and nobody's that mad at it, so it's okay. But yeah, man, what can I say? It really sucks. It really crushes your soul and spirit to be chained down and to be bound to all these restrictions, be it the law in the state that it's in or the travel restrictions because of your passport. But yeah, I'm just trying to, you know, pull through and do what I can do is entertain you guys, make good, decent content, make money, support myself, support my family, and yeah, that's what I'm gonna keep doing. And I hope it works out. But right now, yeah. 6 months out of Russia so far. They had its ups and downs. I had times where I wanted to literally end it all. No cap. Like having mental breakdowns. There were times when I felt like life is pretty good. And honestly, it changes all the time. I feel terrible one day. I feel really good the other day. I think I'm just like Kanye, bro. Bipolar disorder. I hate being bipolar. It's awesome. No cap. But yeah, I guess that's pretty much actually everything I wanted to say in this video. I know this video was sorta all over the place because my thoughts all over the place. But that's just the way I am, you know? I want to put out these unscripted videos here and there. I think it's a good slice of life thing that shows you what the fuck is going on in this brain of mine. Hopefully Hopefully you guys did enjoy this video though. If you guys did, then please make sure to slap the like on it. As well guys, if you want to support me, support what I do on this channel, then go over to the link down in the description. You can become a member of my channel. It's basically like YouTube's own version of Patreon. You can donate to me there and support me. And yeah guys, this is gonna be pretty much it for today's video though, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.